Full time here, Manchester United beat Leicester City. Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game as interim manager. Chat, do we have Amorim at home? Do we already have Amorim at home? You know when you're a kid and you're like, Mom, I want to get food from Burger King. I want to get food from Taco. We got Burger King at home, man. We got burgers at home, man. Don't worry, we got food at home. Do we already have Amorim at home? Now, all jokes aside, Ruud van Nistelrooy, first interim game. I believe he's going to coach at Chelsea at the weekend and potentially even Leicester in a few weeks in the Premier League because it does appear that the Amorim deal, while it is going to go ahead, I don't think he's going to come immediately. I'm very happy to see him win his first game and in the manner that he did. Now, let me say this, right, chat? When I saw the lineups, I was a little disappointed because when I saw Ollie take over as interim manager, when I saw Carrick take over as interim manager, the first thing you notice from their team selections is they were extremely different to what the previous manager before them had kind of cooked up. Like Ollie, from Mourinho to Ollie, that interim period, the first team he put out, it was very, very different. Carrick, the first team he put out when Ollie wasn't there, I think the first game he dropped Bruno, and in the second game he dropped Cristiano. Like, he made big changes. And for me, it was cool to see, right? It was actually inspiring to see because, look, both those guys had no assurances over the full-time job. Carrick, even less. Like, for Carrick, he knew he was going to be there for 2-3 games. Ollie, it was like, okay, until they can find a successor. So I really respected and admired the fact that they kind of went out there and they're like, okay, I got nothing to lose here. I'm just here on an interim basis. Let me try something. Let me kind of like adhere to my principles. If I'm going to go out, if I'm going to have these few games, let me do it on my own terms. And Carrick especially, right? I found it very interesting because he was Ollie's assistant manager for 3 seasons. And I always think as an assistant manager, right? No matter what level you're at, yeah, you're the assistant to the head coach. Yes, you adhere to whatever the head coach says. But I always think assistant managers, I feel like they all look at the head coach, no matter who it is, and think, yeah, I rate you, but if I was the head coach, I would do something different. Maybe I would play this guy instead of this guy. I just think everyone thinks like that. Like, they'll never say it, but I feel like they all low-key would do, it's not a huge change, but they probably see things a little differently. So when I saw the lineup today by Van Nistelrooy, and I'm seeing, for the most part, the same kind of team that Ten Hag was putting out, I was a little underwhelmed because I'm like, Ruud, like, you're here for 2-3 games. You're not gonna stay when Amorim comes, as far as we're concerned. Go out on your shield, man. Like, try something, man. Use these games almost as like a display to the rest of Europe that, okay, he got a few games at Manchester United and he showed some crazy tactical display and really changed up the team, and look at these performances. And if it doesn't work, okay, it doesn't work, but no one's gonna hold it against you. I was a little underwhelmed by the team sheet. However, I have to say, based on seeing this performance, fair play. I got to hold my hands up and say, this is why I'm a fan and you're the assistant coach and now interim manager. Man United played really well tonight. And I don't know if it's because it's a new manager bounce. I don't know if it's because it's like the weight of the previous manager being gone. I don't know if it's because Leicester's just not a very good team. But that's the most fun I've had watching United for a long time. I get it's the Carabao Cup. I get it's Leicester. I get it might be new manager bounce. But I actually really enjoyed that. He went with a 4-4-2 today on paper. Bruno and Xerxes technically up front. Even though at times it was very like fluid. It was very flexible, that team. Like, you saw Rashford and Garnacho on the left at times. Dalot was basically playing as like a borderline right winger. He was playing so high, so advanced. And I thought Ugarte and Casemiro were really, really good, chat. I think Ugarte and Casemiro, for me, very, very accomplished performances. Casemiro, right? I might have to owe this guy an apology. I need to see it more. And it might be a case this season where Casemiro just needs to play 1 game a week. You can't play him any more than that. Remember, with Matic, it kind of got to a point with him too that he couldn't play 2-3 games a week. You play him 1 game, you choose the game of the most importance, and then Matic gives you a very good performance on that day. But if you play him any more than that, bro, his legs are going to be gone. It might be the case with Casemiro this season, because I've been very quick to kind of like call him out and say, maybe you're coming towards the end of your career. Maybe you're not up to the level anymore. But give him credit. Since the Liverpool game, he's actually put in some very good performances. Casemiro, bro, has these games every once in a while where he just shows you everything. Like, he shows you this crazy array, this crazy range of passing that you previously would never have imagined he has. Like, these crazy over-the-ball tops, these crazy diagonals, these crazy reverse passes. He has these games sometimes, I don't know where it comes from, where he'll mess up the simplest of passes, but then show you something on the ball that you just think to yourself, wow, where did that come from? And then the goals, the way he takes them today, Chad, that first one is potentially our goal of the season. I know it's early days. I know it's November. We still got a few more months to play. But would anyone be surprised if come May, that first goal Casemiro scores today is our goal of the season? It's an absolute screamer. It's a golazo. Even the second one, header, off both posts, ricochets back to him. Screamer from 5 yards out on his left. Who are you? What happened to Casemiro? This is Carabao Casse. I was really impressed with him today, man. He could have had a hat trick, in fact, today. I thought Ugarte next to him had a really accomplished display as well, too. I think it's one of his better performances for United. And to be fair to him, right, I think he is growing game by game. I look at the Fenerbahce game. I think he was actually really good in that game. It was shocking to me that he didn't feature whatsoever against Brentford and West Ham for the most part. It was very shocking to me. But I thought he was very good again today. I think just in general, right? Like the energy and the tempo of the game and the speed and the intensity that they were playing at. It's the best I've seen from United in months, honestly. And again, I don't want to get too carried away because I know it's Carabao Cup. I know it's Leicester City. I know it's a new manager balance. I get all of that. But damn, did these guys hate Ten Hag that much? Did these guys hate Ten Hag that much? Has the darkness, the shadow has been lifted from this group? Casemiro is playing liberated. Ugarte is playing liberated. I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. Let's see what they do against Chelsea at the weekend. Chelsea, of course, as you guys know, they got eliminated today. They got eliminated in the Carabao Cup by Newcastle, which is probably for the best for them, right? I think they need to focus on one game a week this year. The focus for Chelsea has to be getting back in the Champions League. It has to be. But yeah, man, I'm happy with that. There's a few players for me today that didn't play their best game, though. I have to be honest, right? You guys know me. I say it as it is. I don't sugarcoat things. Rashford, for me, is just... He's hot and cold, man, honestly. He's hot and cold. Today, for me, it was an average performance. Honestly, didn't move me whatsoever today. And sometimes with Rashford, right, it's like he forgets the basics of football at times. When to pass, when to dribble, when to shoot. Rashford's a talented player in my opinion, but at times it's baffling how poor his decision making is, to be honest. So me personally, I didn't think Rashford was great today. I didn't think Xerxes was good either. And Xerxes, for me, he needs to up his intensity levels. His intensity levels for English football are not up to standard whatsoever. I understand what kind of player Xerxes is. He's a guy who wants to drop deep. He wants to link up play. He wants to kind of combine with others. He wants to get the play going. And I like that. I'm not against that. But you also have to play a little faster and a little more intense and a little more direct at times. Sometimes he doesn't even pick up his head. It's like he's not expecting players to be on him the minute he takes his first touch. He plays very sluggishly. I don't want to call him lazy because I think that's sometimes something as fans we make mistakes of doing when a player seems a bit more nonchalant. We did it with Berbatov. We did it with Martial. I'm not going to say Xerxes is lazy, but he plays in slow motion at times. I just think he needs a little bit more oomph to his game because I do believe there is a player there. I think he has good technical security. I think he's an intelligent footballer. But at the moment, he's not giving me enough. Honestly, he's not giving me enough. I thought Ahmad off the bench. I love this guy, man. Ahmad. I'm such a fan. I really hope under Amorim, he can kind of find more of a role for him than Ten Hag managed to. I don't know what it was with Ten Hag and Ahmad. I know he started the season off a lot with him, but I started to think that maybe he was only starting so many games because he didn't think Garnacho was fit. And the minute Garnacho came back, Ahmad, we never saw him again. But every time I see Ahmad's cameos, I leave feeling like, okay, there's a real player there. Like, he can really benefit this team if he gets enough chances. I always say Ahmad, for me, is not the best player in the world. I get that. But for what United have and what United need, he's better than a lot of what we got, man. On the right-hand side, I think he's the best option we got. He's the only natural right-sided player that really can give us something. He wasn't that great, to be fair. Today, you didn't think he was good. I think he had a much better cameo than Rashford. I think he had a better cameo than Rashford, Garnacho, and Xerxes. I think Lisandro had one of his better games today, too. And that's needed, because I don't think Lisandro started the season well. But fair play to Ruud van Nistelrooy, man. Honestly, like I said, I was a little apprehensive, a little hesitant when I saw the starting 11, because I was thinking, like, damn, this is just literally Ten Hag 2.0. But give him credit. I think the way he set up was very different. And I think the approach was completely different as well, too. You can tell the focus on winning the ball up high, pressing, the counter-attacking, the overloads in wide positions. Again, I'm not trying to make too much out of it. I get that. But it was an impressive performance. I thought Bruno didn't start the game the best, but his last 60 minutes, and like I said, I think against West Ham, Bruno was very, very good as well, too. That's vintage Bruno. Everywhere. He's almost like a bee at times, the way he buzzes around those central areas. Combining play, taking pop shots. The free kick is a bit of a fluke, right? It bounces off James Justin. But I think Bruno had a good game today, man. One thing I want to see from Ruud and Amorim, though, is they need to lessen Garnacho's workload. Garnacho should not be relied upon and should not be playing as many minutes as Ten Hag has had him playing. I see a lot of United fans starting to turn on Garnacho. And here's the thing with me. People used to always say I was a Garnacho hater because I said for me, he's not a super talent. He's a good talent, but he's nothing special. But that's just me being honest. Now, I feel people are going way too extreme. People are acting like Garnacho's a scrub. People are acting like Garnacho shouldn't be playing games for Man United. He's a good player. But I think Ten Hag started like relying on him way too much. First of all, he's not that great to be relying on him as much as he did. And second of all, he's a 20-year-old. Garnacho would not be playing every single minute of every single game at City, at Arsenal, at Liverpool, at Chelsea. Those are the kinds of players, unless you're like Yamal. This is what I mean by special talents. A Yamal is a guy who plays every single game. Garnacho's not on Yamal's level. We shouldn't be relying on Garnacho the way Barca rely on Yamal, because he's not that kind of level. He's not. He's a good impact player. He's a good player to start from the beginning at some games. He's a good player to bring on off the bench in some games. But the way we're using him, no kidding, of course he looks like he forces shots all the time. And of course he makes mistakes. He's a kid. He's still young. He's not the finished article. But he needs to be managed a lot better by the next manager. Because I see at times under Ten Hag, we give Garnacho the ball 50 times a game on the left-hand side, almost expecting him to be like Ronaldo. Win us the game. Create us a moment. Newsflash, he's not Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not going to be able to do it. So, yeah, man. I just think people are going way too hard on him now. Like, there's still talent there. There's still a lot to work with Garnacho, but let's not go overboard with him. These players piss me off. Why must they perform after they sack a coach? Don't play for the passion of the game. Maybe you should ask why the coach couldn't get the best out of them. He was here for 3 years. It's the first time Manchester United score 5 goals against Premier League opposition since before Ten Hag's reign. Lyes, Garnacho is always a goal threat no matter how bad his decision-making can be sometimes, but Ahmad's just good at ball retention. You want goals and excitement, you go for Garnacho at the moment. Yes, Garnacho is more of a goal threat than Ahmad, but that's not how you set up a football team. You don't just put all your goal threats on the pitch. You need guys who are able to keep the ball. You need guys who can make your attack flow. And then you have the guys who are goal threats finishing off the attacks. But if your entire front line are just goal threats, Højlund, Rashford, and Garnacho, who's creating chances? Who's keeping the ball? Who's retaining it? Who's making sure the attack flows? Bro, other than Garnacho and Højlund, no one is a goal threat. By the way, why are we acting like Garnacho and Højlund are like Ronaldo and Higuain? Like, they're okay, they can score goals. They're not reliable goal scorers, bro. Neither of them. Neither of Garnacho or Højlund are reliable goal scorers, but that's besides the point. United in general, their attack is not very reliable in front of goal. However, tonight they have been. Tonight, they could have scored 6 tonight, honestly. It could have been 6. Really impressive performance from United. Let's see what they do against Chelsea, because it looks like Ruud'S going to be given the game. Let's see if he sticks with the same kind of setup. Ugarte and Casemiro at the base of the midfield, giving United that defensive strength. We'll see who he goes with in attack. Me personally, I would go for Højlund. I would go for Højlund in the next game. And I would go for Ahmad from the start, man. I wouldn't start Rashford off the right. I don't see it with Rashford off the right. I think he can give you something off the left, but then it's a conversation between Rashford and Garnacho. On the right, personally, I still maintain this. I think Ahmad is United's best option, man. I think he is. When is Amorim joining officially? Today, Alex Crook was saying that he's expected to take over. His last game for Sporting will be November 10th, which means that he would not be available for us for the Chelsea game, for the PAOK game in the Europa League, or the Leicester game in the Premier League. But when I think about it, I think United should be fine in those games. Like, yes, Chelsea will be difficult, but if we have Amorim for the Chelsea game, is anything going to really change? It'll be his first game. He was 3 at the back in possession of Lisandro as a third center back. Yeah, I did see that. And that's what I'm saying. Dalot was playing as like a winger today, man. Honestly, he was playing so high up. So like I said, at the beginning when I saw the lineup, I was a little underwhelmed. But the way Ruud van Nistelrooy's team actually executed the setup, I have to give him massive plaudits today, man. I think he got it spot on today. And for an interim, man, like I said, that's all you can ask for. The few games that you have, you know you're not going to get the full-time job. You're probably not going to stay around. Try and leave with a 100% record, or at least an unbeaten record. That's always nice to have. Michael Carrick has an unbeaten record as Manchester United manager. That's nice to have, man. I have to say, though, as a longtime United fan, right, it was surreal seeing Ruud today. It was actually surreal. And I know he's been on the touchline, on the bench as an assistant coach the last few months. But to see Ruud van Nistelrooy as Man United's head coach today on the touchline, wearing that black suit, celebrating goals like that, it was surreal, man. Honestly, it was such a weird feeling, but it was actually special. Honestly, I really enjoyed that.